Hello everybody, I'm just some guy and today I'm going to be reviewing Champions number 11. This story takes place after Secret Empire number 2. That book came out in May, so you can see why an August release is right on time. Because of Secret Empire, the core team is scattered all over the country, so we've got some extra members in this book. We've got Wasp, the villainous Riri Williams, the new Falcon, and the new Patriot. Okay, so this book really pissed me off. I didn't think I could lose more respect for Mark Waid, but I was wrong. But you know what? Let me get to the good thing about the book. The good thing about the book is the art is fantastic. I've been a fan of Humberto Ramos since the 1990s. My first book with him was a Gen 13 book. After that, him and Mark Waid worked on the Impulse comic. Pretty much anytime he's on a book, I buy it, even if I don't read it. I love this man's artwork. I love the way he draws. I love his posing. That's one of the cool things about his style. You get a sense of when the characters are moving. I call it like a kinetic art style. There are lots of artists who are technically good, guys like Gary Frank or Tony Daniel or Ethan Van Sciver. Their stuff is very well drawn, but it doesn't look like you've captured the characters in a moment. It looks more like they've posed for the photo. But you get pages like this from Ramos, and it just tells you what the character is thinking. Look at Cho's reactions. Don't read it. Just look at it. He tries the Hulk clap to put the fire out, but it doesn't work. He tries again and again, and then you get this dejected response. You can see from the fire and the rubble what he's trying to do and why he's trying to do it and what it means that he's failed to do it. That's what visual storytelling is about. You can look at a page and tell what's going on. I read this book by flipping through it. It wasn't until I read the word balloons that I got pissed off. The other thing that I like about Humberto is he didn't get the memo about female characters. Ironheart and Wasp and Viv Vision, they have feminine shapes. Not overdone, you know, they don't have like large breasts or anything because they're teens, but you can tell that they're girls. So I'll give a quick rundown of the plot. The champions land in Las Vegas after Hydra's destroyed it, and they're searching for survivors. Each group has no luck. The first group we see is Not Hulk and the new Falcon. Amadeus Cho, Not Hulk, nerds out as kind of a coping mechanism as he looks for survivors. Then the new Falcon appears and we get this little exchange between him and Cho where Cho snaps at the Falcon and then apologizes. Waid shows his skill here by doing something that hasn't been happening in a lot of event books from either Marvel or DC. Explain who the new character is. Everybody doesn't know all the characters. So Waid does something really great. He takes a moment to tell us this guy's origin. We find out that the new Falcon's name is Joaquin Torres, and he's been combined with Redwing, the real Falcon's pet bird. He doesn't seem terribly bothered by all of that, even though he seems to have lost some or all of his vision. Not Hulk asks Joaquin why he's okay with such a huge trade-off, and Joaquin says, "I'm an Arizona boy. I see a lot of hopefuls on the Mexican border struggling to get into the US. America means opportunity to them. It means freedom from tyranny." Okay, two things. One, that doesn't answer the question. And two, where is this coming from? It's just a random political statement that has nothing to do with searching for survivors. Now, I don't know anything about Joaquin, so I decided to check the Marvel Wikia page to find out about who this guy is. And under his bio, we get this little explanation. Joaquin Torres came to the United States with his mother and grandmother when he was 6 years old. He lived in Tucson, Arizona, and he graduated from high school in the honor roll. Because you needed to know that. Here's where it gets interesting. Joaquin also cared for the Mexican community, especially those trying to come to the United States. He would leave water, food, and medicine for the people trying to cross the border. Right. He's leaving food at the border. And somehow it's still there, even though there are coyotes and other scavengers in Arizona. Nobody's touching it. Okay? And this character's reason for being a superhero is to help illegal immigrants enter the country. So I had to know who created this character because this is borderline racist. So I scrolled down the page and look who it is. Nick Spencer. What a fucking surprise. Joaquin is basically supposed to represent all the Mexicans Donald Trump supposedly doesn't like. Nothing about his bio hints at the tiniest drop of a personality or any type of character development. He's not even a character sketch. He's a brain fart that made it to print. Is there any question now that Nick Spencer isn't one of those polite progressive racists? You know, the type who say that they're inclusive and unbiased, but thinks that all Mexicans are illegal immigrants. After this, Cho digs through the rubble trying to find survivors. He figures that some of them may have survived in their cars, but because of the gas line breaks, there's a massive fire. By now, anybody down there would have suffocated or burned to death, but Cho still tries to put out the flames using the Hulk slap. He tries 3 times and just isn't powerful enough to put it out. It's a great scene because we get to see that despite Cho hijacking Banner's powers, he still can't use them properly. The second scene comes with Miles Morales, sociopath Riri Williams, and the new Patriot. I saw this costume and I wonder, who is this guy, because it doesn't look like Eli Bradley, the last Patriot. So I did a little searching on him and found out that the new guy's name is Rayshon Lucas. Of course it is. And oh look, he was created by Nick Spencer too. Guess that's why he has that kooky name. Bet he's just a bastion of awesome character development. Let's see Rayshon's deal. Rayshon's call to heroism is that he decides to fight the system when this hero, Rage, is unjustly convicted of robbing a pawn shop. Rage is a black character from the 1990s. He's actually 13, but when he was exposed to toxic chemicals, it gave him super strength and vulnerability and aged him to his 30s. He tried to join the Avengers by calling him out on their lack of black members. Captain America, the real one, let Rage onto the team until he found out Rage's true age. So then Nick Spencer gets his hands on this character and has Rage decide to stand up to the group called the AmeriCops. They're this police force used by Hydra. They've had a lot of controversy surrounding them due to, quote, their members' particular hostility towards minority communities, with reports involving profiling, harassment, and excessive force. Totally not a biased straw man of the police. Nope. So Sam Wilson, dressed as Cap, stops Rage from fighting the AmeriCops. Later on, Rage tries to stop 2 villains from robbing a pawn shop, but they get away and leave him for the AmeriCops, who promptly whoop his ass. Now, I'm not sure how that happens, because Rage is supposed to be able to lift 75 tons, but somehow the AmeriCops can just take him out. Whatever. So he goes to trial, but refuses any help from the Avengers or lawyers who help superheroes because, quote, as a fighter of the African American community, he believed he shouldn't accept what he considered to be an easy way out. He also intended to use this opportunity to show the injustice of the judicial system. Right. A guy who lied about his age so he could join the Avengers and was upset when he was demoted to a trainee when they found out he was only 13, suddenly wants nothing to do with the Avengers because racism. You'd think you couldn't make a character who already tried to affirmative action his way onto the Avengers any more cringy, but Nick Spencer found a way. So this event makes Rayshon, the new Patriot, decide to act. And he does this by firebombing a random bank. What did the bank do? Then he goes and participates in riots and mobs. And then he contacts the Underground, the resistance force fighting against Hydra, and eventually meets the AI Tony Stark. AI Tony makes a suit for him and creates an AI version of Black Widow to train him, so this is how we get the new Patriot. This is Rayshon's call to adventure, acts of terrorism and mob violence. Perfect material for a superhero. Back to this ridiculous book. Miles and Riri and Rayshon happen upon this plane and it looks undamaged. Riri tears open the door and it turns out everybody inside has been cooked. Her suit tells her that Hydra used a microwave emitter to take out the entire airport. That's why nothing looks damaged from the outside. The microwaves would just bake the humans but leave the planes untouched. Then we get this banter between the 3 of them. Miles asks the Patriot if he made his own suit. Patriot says that Tony Stark gave it to him and crazy ass Riri flips out. She's like, he what now? And Miles is like, problem? And she goes, no, I just didn't realize he was giving out suits free with purchase. That's all. Jealous much? Like, only you can be the token Negro? And obviously Patriot has like a better thing going because he's poor and, not prepared and just a regular guy. Riri is all super smart and sociopathic. Who's more deserving of free shit? The one who can build it themselves or the one who's got no talent at all? I'll tell you what this is. This is a house nigga response. I'm black, I can say it. Riri's like, who's this pickaninny you done brought in this house? Get that field nigga out of here. That's what this is. She's mad because he got what she got and now she's not so special. So now she's feeling all salty and she says, so what's your suit do? And Patriot tells her that it doesn't do anything and that he's got this shield that turns into a drone, but he lost it during the battle. And Riri just couldn't wait to throw shade. She's like, yeah, wow, what a hero moment. And Patriot goes off on it. It's like, girl, what is it with you? You've been riding me all afternoon. And she's like, temper. What the fuck is wrong with you? She's over there sulking like, I ain't gonna let your ass back in this house. Watch. You step your ass outside to pick that cotton, you ain't coming back in. I don't care how much Master Tony likes you. Like, this is supposed to be a superhero. And she's this hyper jealous sociopath. How much you want to bet she's gonna repulsor blast his ass in the back of the head when no one's looking? Miles actually tries to calm them down and he asks Patriot what his deal is. And Patriot's response, just like Joaquin's, has nothing to do with what's happening in the scene. It's just Mark Waid jumping on a soapbox. Patriot says, "Because I live in a world full of white privilege and Hydra is as WP as you can get. You don't think folks of color will be the first ones they'll weed out?" Oh, Jesus Christ. Mark Waid. What are you doing, man? Why are you doing this? What's this white privilege bullshit? You really think Hydra is going to target brown people? They just took out Las Vegas. If Hydra were targeting minorities, wouldn't they take out cities with a large minority population like, I don't know, New York, Chicago, LA? So the scene ends with Miles telling Patriot that if he can't handle what happened and wants to bow out, they'll understand. Then he hands the Patriot back his shield. But the Patriot said that he lost the shield. So where'd the shield come from? It just magically pops up. It's sitting on the plane, and it looks like the colorist didn't realize what it was. But you couldn't see that? It's sitting right behind you. The whole time it's sitting behind the Patriots, and he just didn't notice it. Right. The next scene starts off with Viv, Vision, and Wasp looking for survivors in a wealthy neighborhood. Wasp says, Hydra doesn't discriminate against the rich and the poor, do they? Only a progressive could say something that stupid. Only someone who honestly thinks that there is this massive distinction between the rich and the poor, as if rich people aren't people too, as if they wouldn't be targeted for destruction. You think this wouldn't happen? Go to Nazi Germany and see if they let off wealthy and rich Jews. If you took out the little remarks like these from the books, it'd be a solid book. It's Mark Waid's need to throw in these little political brain farts that ruin it. The rest of the scene is actually pretty good. Viv tries to get Wasp to rest, and Wasp and Viv banter back and forth about whether or not they're related. Wasp mentions that she's Hank Pym's daughter, and Hank created Ultron, and Ultron created Vision, and Viv is Vision's daughter, so that kind of makes Wasp her great aunt. It's a cute moment, and it's a nice character build. Viv says that Ultron was a machine, and Wasp starts to say how everybody's becoming like a machine because of their cell phones, and then she realizes that she can use people's cell phones to track their position. So she has Viv tap into the car batteries to boost her power and try to make a map of all the Wi-Fi signals to see if anybody's trying to call or text from their phone. Viv puts up the map and it's blank. And Wasp is like, it's not working. And Viv says, yes, it is. Everyone's dead. That's just harsh, and that makes a really good story moment for this little piece of just how bad this is going. No matter what the champions do, they can't find any survivors. And that happens a lot in war. So at the end of the story, the champions all get together, and instead of them trying to make sense of what they've seen, we get this ham-fisted anti-Trump sock puppet show from Mark Waid. This anti-Trump nonsense is really getting so fucking tiresome. It's all over the news. It's all over comedy shows. It's all over TV shows. I just watched Real Time with Bill Maher last night, and the guy's been off the air for a month, and the whole show was about Trump. I get it. Trump does stupid shit. But you can't have every single thing you do be this way. This is a comic. It's supposed to be entertainment. The book is supposed to be for kids. So when you get lines like this from Riri Williams, don't accept it. Not for a second. It's not normal. We don't have to adapt to Hydra taking over our country. What message are you sending to kids? They don't know what you're talking about. This silly code for alt-right and this fake Nazi bullshit. Nobody's taking over the country. You lost the election. Get over it. And then Miles says, the sickest part is that not everybody agrees with you, Ironheart. It's because Captain America, he means Trump, is at the head of this, and no one wants to believe that he'd do something like this. He's promising people law and order, security, jobs. And Cho jumps in and says, and all they have to do is lie down and watch the trains run on time. Is it really that hopeless? I want to say no, but... And then Viv comes in and says, I realize we formed this team because we concluded that the older heroes were ignoring the needs of everyday people while they were defending them from catastrophe. But how can they listen to everyday people when those same people are willing to overlook mass murder? Time the fuck out. What mass murder has Donald Trump committed? Name it. He's been in office for what, 7 months now? What mass murder has he committed? What people are overlooking mass murder? Where does that happen? Okay, actually, people have been ignoring mass murder in Syria, but that happened during the Obama administration. Nobody said anything. But you're right, when Donald Trump gets in, everything is his fault. Bullshit. This idea of attacking people who support him because they want law and order and security and jobs, who doesn't? Everybody wants this. This moronic nonsense coming from progressives, They believe this shit. They believe this is going to happen, this mass murder silliness. And by the way, the stuff coming out of Viv's mouth, that's what Howard Chaykin's comic The Divided States of Hysteria is about. And the same people who would be applauding Waid for these statements crucify Chaykin for daring to show it. So the scene wraps up with Miles saying that they'll have to team up with the older heroes because the threat is too big. This is hinting at what happens in Secret Empire, where Miles takes down Hydra Cap in one punch. The 15-year-old, with no training, takes down the Master of War. I thought his name was Miles Morales, not Ichigo Kurosaki. Anyway, they hear a baby crying, and it turns out that the Patriots actually managed to find a lone survivor in the maternity ward of the hospital. Now, the book could just end with this wonderful scene of hope in the midst of despair, with them ironically saving a white male, the cause of all the world's problems. But no, Waid just can't end the fucking book. He's got to toss in one more dig. Patriot asks what they should do with the baby, and Cho says make sure he doesn't grow up in a country ruled by fascists. Well, you know what? If you progressives have your way, he will. You're the ones creating 1984 with your newspeak and double-thinking ingsoc. And Mark Waid, do you even know what the word fascist means? Fascism is a very specific form of authoritarian nationalism. It means you have some element of patriotism attached to it. Hydra is not patriotic. They're not allied with the United States or any country. So there's no patriotism there. There's no nationalism there. If you just want to say that they're about dictatorial power and oppressing people and controlling means of production, we have a word for that: authoritarianism. If it's being guided by an ideology, we've got a word for that: totalitarianism. Jesus Christ. Just dictionaries are your friend. Look the shit up. Don't just use words because everybody else does. And this is how the book ends. I guess this is going to be the new champions. Just the dullest fucking team. And look, only one white person. Wasp. Bet that's not an accident. This book is a shining example of the clusterfuck that happens when you take a fantastic artist and a fantastic writer and you boil the story down to two people bitching about their politics. You lost the fucking election. Your fat asses didn't get up and vote because you were so sure Hillary Clinton would win. So you let Donald Trump win while he ran the worst campaign in recent history. Stop bitching. It's over. You lost. Move the fuck on. I lost a lot of respect for Mark Waid after what he did to Allison Tiemann a couple of years ago with the Calgary Expo situation. Mark Waid went on this 2-day tirade on Twitter trashing this woman. He was the snarkiest little jerk, and when Allison finally confronted him and threw his snark back at him, he got all sensitive. Dude, how are you going to get all touchy when you've been insulting this woman for 2 days straight? I lost a lot of respect for him, just a ton of respect. And then to see him devolve into this politically correct troll who's just squandering his talent. And you can see the talent wants to come out. It's there in this book, but he beats it back every time like bad Mark. He's just become this bigoted jerk who can't keep his politics to himself, so every character becomes his mouthpiece to sound off. And it's like he won't be satisfied until he becomes the biggest asshat in comics. And he seems hell-bent on giving Nick Spencer a run for his money. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.